Hi guys, I hope you all are doing well and managing everything in this stressful time. I wanted to show you guys an activity that you can do when you're feeling really overwhelmed and anxious about COVID and all the things surrounding that. So this is called the anxiety wave activity. This is an example of one that I did, but I didn't fill in yet. So what you need to do this is a piece of paper and just a pen. So what you want to do on your piece of paper is you're going to draw a wave like this. Ooh, like this. That's the first step. So if you need to, you can pause this video to do that and then play it when you're ready again. Next, what you want to do is divide the wave into 5 parts. So you can start by looking at the middle and then doing 2 lines down the middle and then 2 more following that. You can look at my example to help you out. So once you have that done, each of these parts is going to represent a specific part of anxiety when you have a really anxious moment. So the first part, I wrote stressors, and that's part number 1. So when you're thinking about having maybe a really anxious or really scary moment about COVID, what are the things that start by stressing you out? So you're feeling fine, you're feeling okay, and then something starts, you begin to feel yourself getting stressed out. What are the things that cause that? So in general, if we're doing an example about COVID would be the main stressor. So that's what you would write in your first section right here. So the next section says triggers. And it's helpful to think about the things that cause our anxiety to begin to rise when it comes to a certain topic. So what are some things that you notice specifically upset you when it comes to COVID-19? So everybody's different. Some people are triggered by watching the news. Some people are triggered by hearing loved ones talk about COVID or just reading about it. And some people, the triggers are different. Like they might be, like isolation might be a big trigger for a lot of people. Being alone with your thoughts, that's tough for a lot of people. So whatever your specific triggers are, it's helpful to write them out so that you can recognize them and the fact that your anxiety is starting to build when these triggers are occurring. Because you can see it's on the upswing. So if you need to pause the video and do that part, go ahead and do that. The next part, section 3, is the peak of your anxiety. So what does the peak of your anxiety look like? When you're in your most anxious, what does that look like to you? So for some people, it might look like anger. For some people, it looks like sadness and a lot of crying. Some people might panic and they feel their heart racing and they feel their breathing getting really shallow. But not everybody feels that. Some people snap at loved ones and get irritated, but that's really just their anxiety peaking. So, and what does your body feel like at this peak? So you have thoughts, but what does your body feel like? Does it feel tight? Does it feel, does your face get really hot? Do you notice yourself getting lightheaded? Is your whole body tense? Sometimes my stomach really hurts when I'm anxious. That's what your peak looks like. So if you need to pause and write down some of the things that your peak looks like when it comes to anxiety, that's good. So the next section is section 4, and that's the recovery phase. So this is when your anxiety is starting to go down. What does that look like for you, especially in regards to COVID? When you've had that most anxious moment and now you're starting to feel a little bit better. Maybe your breathing is slowing down, your heart rate might be slowing down. Maybe you're feeling really tired emotionally and physically, just drained. That's really common for a lot of people in the recovery phase. So what does that look like for you? Write down some of the things that you're feeling in your recovery phase. And the last part of the anxiety wave is control. So that's when, the situation is mostly over. You're feeling like you're back in control of the situation. You're not feeling overwhelmed or like you're at this peak anymore. What does that look like for you? Maybe you can now focus on your daily tasks that you needed to get done. Maybe you have this regained sense of normalcy. What does it look like to you? Everybody's different. And so once you have this whole wave drawn out with all of your triggers, your stressors, your peak. This really helps you visualize your anxiety. And the reason why it's important to visualize it is to understand how you can intervene right here, right before the peak, and right after. These two spots are where you want to use your coping skills. So what are some good coping skills that you can use as you notice your anxiety getting really bad? And again, that's different for everybody. Some people really like to do deep breathing because it helps calm your entire nervous system down, or something like progressive relaxation where you tense all the muscles in your body and then slowly loosen them. That's really good to help cope with anxiety. Maybe if your trigger is, watching the news and hearing about COVID all the time, maybe a good coping skill for you is distracting yourself and maybe watching your favorite movie or watching your favorite TV show, maybe reading a favorite book, maybe doing something creative like writing or drawing. Those are all really good coping skills to use either before or right after your peak. So being able to visualize this anxiety wave is super helpful because it helps us in the moment when we're just feeling so overwhelmed. It helps us break down why we're feeling the way we are, what that's going to look like, and how we can help reduce this anxiety wave before it even gets that bad, or afterwards, how we can reflect on that and make sure that it doesn't happen that way again. So I hope this was helpful. I hope that you guys are doing okay during this stressful time, and I hope that you can use some of your coping skills to help feel better.